Hey guys, welcome back, or I should say to me, welcome back, because I haven't done a video in a while. Couple of things going on here. First, almost every YouTube creator monetizes their channel. So yes, unfortunately, you guys have to watch a commercial, but the revenue from that helps pay for things in the shop. I mean, you guys, thank you. It paid for a lot of things in the shop over time. But what's going on is I'm hearing from other YouTube creators that their videos are being monetizing has been redirected because they used a song that's copyrighted or royalty, whatever. And it's really kind of interesting too, because one of my videos from over 5 years ago, YouTube sent me an email saying, yeah, monetization is now turned off because the song I used is copyrighted. So somebody's making money on your hard work or my hard work. And one of the other creators, a friend, emailed me or forwarded the email that YouTube sent him, and I'm looking at it going, wait a minute, it's the same artist as the one I use. It's a different song, but the same artist. So what I'm thinking is somebody has really good music. Now these are short clips, 3-minute, 4-minute clips, so it's not an album or something. Somebody put their songs up on a royalty-free, copyright-free site, knowing everybody's going to use it, and now suddenly they're telling YouTube, hey, it is copyrighted. So now they're making the revenue off of my hard work and others. Interesting. So I don't know, it's my theory. Another curious thing too is maybe YouTube is doing it because they've started their own video beta section where you can download music for your videos. Curious, 99 cents. Some of them are $10 a song, and you can only use it in one video. I'm not about to spend $10 for a song for one video. No thank you. So maybe YouTube is trying to promote make more revenue. I don't know, which is Google. Google owns YouTube. The other thing is, I've been thinking, why am I running out of ideas or material to produce a video with? And it hit me, I've been doing this over 11 years, so yes, you're going to run out of material. You've done just about everything under the sun. So now I'm starting to think, look, the best thing I can do is what do you call it, messing in the shop videos, where I'm sharing things that I just stumbled across, you know, some purchase, some item that I think is worthy of sharing, that others may want to get. It could be a book, it could be anything. Or if I really come up with something good, actually I want to get back into showing machining, because for me, I love watching machining, even if it's fast forwarded. I love seeing other people's techniques and things. So this video is going to be a messing in the shop. So I'm just going to share a few things that I've done here over time, and I'm not sure how often I'll be releasing a Friday video at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Pacific Daylight Time. I don't know. I'll do my best, but it's going to be more just sharing items probably. So hope you enjoy this video, and see you next time. Try. Oh yeah, that zoomed in pretty good. The camera's really crooked, but fine there. Okay, really having a blast with this project, let me tell you. This was my dad's torch. Yeah, torch. Problem was, you know, all these parts I'll explain were leaking, and the O-rings just gone. So it's acetylene based, and yeah, acetylene, this whole thing burst into flame. It was dangerous. So I can't find another one of these. It's what, 50, 80 years old, and I love it a lot. I've done a lot of work. Oh, my phone's written the wrong way. Oh well. I've done a lot of plumbing jobs with this thing. It works great. It's acetylene. It's extremely hot. I can do exactly what I want to do with it. But since I can't find parts or another one of them, I figured let me rebuild this thing. So this guy goes down in here. This part screws into it, and this goes on it. This is for coarse adjust gas. You turn that, and you know, flame can be 2 foot out. And then this, obviously, with the little needle on it, is the fine tune that screws in here. And the problem is, back then, the O-rings that they used. This is one of the originals that was on this guy here. The O-rings are really fat, and you can't find them. Everything I can find is really skinny, so it just doesn't work. That's why it's leaking. So figured let me make these parts. So this was the first part, and here it is. And I'm loving it because it's really complicated to do, and I've got it down to plus or minus 0, so it's within a thou. And it did work. I put the whole thing back together and screwed this into the old one. The seal is perfect, and it turns the gas on nice and fine and turns it completely off. So that works. I'm like that. And I'm using off the shelf. You know, I go over to my shelves, the hardware store, all the different O-ring sets that I have, and just pick one. And yeah, I used the gauge pin on the O-ring to figure out what the ID was. And then from there I can say I want 25% O-ring compression and come up with the new diameter to fit this O-ring as opposed to that one. I did screw up. I didn't follow my trick on doing the knurl, so I screwed up the first knob. Threw it away, started again, and remembered, you know, the pinch knurls start way out on the edge, and then crank it down as hard as you can, rock it until it's really dug in, then go. So, the camera's probably going to show it looking pretty ugly, but it's nice. So that was the first part that I made. I'm done with that. Put that to the side. Now this one's really complicated because it's threaded down in there. There's 2 holes in here that are 38 thou. So yeah, the first part, if I can get it here, I was almost done. I haven't done that part yet, but I was pretty much so complete. I was just making this last little groove for the O-ring to go in there, and I turned the parting or the grooving tool, I turned the knob the wrong way, dug right in, destroyed it. So, oh well, throw that trash. Started again. Another one. Perfect. Came out good. Again, plus or minus 0. So this goes here. Where's the other? There's the other O-ring. Goes on here. Same thing. Use the gauge pins to figure out the ID. Both of them have 25% compression. When I screw it in there, it works perfect. Now I just need to do the inside, and it's a 1032 thread in there. So I've got it kind of done. I need to drill. I've drilled out the 2 38 thou holes. Those are done. 1/4 here. So I figured I'll drill the holes first. That way, if there's a burr, well, if I do this first and then drill them, there'll be a burr on the inside that I can't get rid of. So I drilled the holes first. So now when I do all this, there won't be a burr on the inside. So, and trying this O-ring on here, it fits nice and snug. So this will work good. There won't be any gas leaking. And I got a whole assortment of tips from my dad too. So I still need to drill down in there and then tap. Yeah, I need to drill for the 1032. And then there's the smaller hole down there for this guy here. So I need to drill that one out. And then I've got it rebuilt, refurbed, or whatever. This guy fits nicely. All the champering of edges. I mean, these, you probably can't even see it in the camera, but this is broken like 5 thousandths. so I can see a beautiful, nice, shiny edge on it. So, okay, I just wanted to share that one, boy. This is a lot of fun. Alright, exciting. The new 5-drawer toolbox is here from Amazon. I just kind of slid it in the garage and it's down here at my feet. Somehow I've got to try to pick it up and get it up here on the bench to open it. Alright, huh? Oh yeah, right. Yeah, no, okay. Alright, here we go. There, got it. Okay, yeah. 5 drawers. This is going to go on the welding cart. It fits perfectly. Gotta be the cutest darn thing I've ever seen. Huh. Wow, yeah. Well, package comes in foam. Good luck getting it out, right? There it is. Huh. Oh, yeah, it is well packaged. PIT. It was like $50. What hilarious. All my nozzles for welding, everything should go in it nicely. Well, how do you get it off? Huh? There, got it. All mats. I think that came up a little bit. And they even installed the mats in it already? Yeah. Ooh. Come on. Rubber feet. That's cute. Mat doesn't fit, does it? Yeah, it does. So I'm going to have to stick it down somehow. Oh, that one's good. It's a little rickety sideways, but in a big drawer. Alright, rubber feet. Fingerprints on it, dirt, some scratches maybe, no. I'm going to have to wax it and clean it up. Yeah, just the feet here. Keep it from sliding around. Okay, well, let me clean it up. Wow, little did I know how much this welding thing was going to explode when I bought that titanium 125 flux core to do the fence. This guy worked out. It's great. I couldn't put it in straight because it didn't clear, because I didn't stop to think this shelf tilts down. Oh, it's getting all dusty. The shelf tilts down, so I had to tilt it, put it in bottom first, drawers down. Luckily, when I got this bottom front edge close enough to the front, I could pivot it and sit it up. Put a steel plate on the top to kind of keep it from moving. Pliers didn't fit in the drawer, so I shoved it all the way to the side and the pliers fit there. And I really like the fact that the drawers don't open unless you lift them up. So when I move the cart around, I know all the drawers aren't going to come flying open. Bottom one, yeah, all the different parts to the welder, my air nozzle, the other roller for wire feed and stuff, all my MIG nozzles and stuff, more MIG. Yeah, it's just nozzles, some of the TIG stuff, more TIG stuff in here. And the top drawer, it comes out further, yeah. And the top drawer is empty, so. And for some reason I feel like I should go to Harbor Freight and buy more junk to put in here, but no. So, kind of happy with it, kind of not, because it's kind of tinny, but putting this giant steel plate on the top quieted it down a bit. So if you guys are interested, it's great for your welding cart, it fits, or put it on your bench top, something heavy on the top, and you can use it to put small stuff in. Yeah, probably should have measured these drawers. This isn't even an inch, so I think that's like 3/4 an inch. This one's 1.5 inches, so yeah, it holds some pretty good stuff. So the cap to my gas intake on the back of the welder. So I'm pretty happy with it all in all. And if you guys are interested, they're pretty cheap, PTI on Amazon. I'll probably put a link to it in the description. And they have a smaller 4-drawer You can get them in any color in the world, black, red, pink, green, you name it. So, yep, good. Camera zoomed in, you can kind of see it. I think I can move it this way more. Oh, the whole thing, why not? Okay, one last item I want to share here is an eBay find. Kind of an interesting trick. Anytime you see something you're interested in on eBay, add it to your watch list. And most of the time, if the person really wants to get rid of the item, they'll make you an offer. So this series, Metal's Handbook, this is volume 6. They have a ton of volumes. I bought one of their books, which is titled just Machining, and it covers a ton of stuff. Incredible. But for welding and brazing, I saw this book, I added it to my watch list, and sure enough, the next day I was given an offer, and it was like $5 cheaper or something like that. And you can either accept or decline it, and when I viewed it, there's a little box where you can make a comment. And I explained, yeah, I'm a home machine shop, retired, fixed income. I'd love to have the book, but I can't afford it. So I declined the offer. Another offer came in the next day, and I looked at it, and the guy wrote a comment that he's a retired instructor. This was his personal book. He said it was in perfect condition. He didn't write his name all over it. And he says he wants to see his book live on and other people use it and teach. So he made a ridiculous offer that I couldn't refuse, and I bought the book. Obviously, it's here. I was kind of curious too. If you buy an expensive book like this, why would you let it out of your hands where you have to write your name on it so you can claim it? But in any case, I think this was like $20 for this book. It covers everything. It is just incredible. You can freeze it if you want, so you can read what's in it. A lot of people. How many pages is this thing? It's like thousands. It's huge. Where's the page? 700 pages. Huh. But yeah, it's thick pages too. It's not that paper thin stuff. A lot of contributing people, but the index, where's the index? There you go. Everything on welding, submerged arc welding, flux core welding, MIG welding. I mean, and these again are not books that you read from cover to cover. It's reference material when you're going to do some kind of welding of magnesium alloys. That's when you read this section to make sure you know what you're doing. So electron beam welding, gas welding. So incredible book. Whoever wants to search for it, or I would recommend at least searching for all the volumes here from Metal's Handbook or whatever, 8th edition. What was the year on this thing? If this guy was retired, there should be 67. Oh, here's all the volumes. Yeah, properties and selections of metals, machining. So I must have picked up volume 3, which is in 1967. This book was, I don't know where the date's going to be here. It could be any place. 71. Copyright 1971. So this isn't that old, but okay. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up on this series of volumes of books, and I'll be going through this as I figure out or try to weld different things.